Hey, what's happening, Gothamites? I'm Kwing, and this is my review/thoughts on Nightwing Rebirth #1 that dropped today. Now, just so you know, this video will have spoilers, and you've been totally warned. Also, my gameplay of Arkham Knight probably won't be the best, so that's also a forewarning. Okay, so if you've been living under a rock, Nightwing is back in the black and blue. He's no longer a secret agent man, and has been working with the Bat family off and on, since Batman and Robin Eternal. Grayson has also returned to leadership responsibilities with the Titans and is running around in Gotham and other places. But before we talk about Rebirth, we need to clear up Dick's previous adventures, if you will. Especially if you're a new subscriber or just new to Nightwing in general and kind of gave up after, well, Forever Evil. So anyway, a couple years ago, Nightwing was unmasked and defeated, and of course eventually killed by the Crime Syndicate and Lex Luthor. Think of it like an evil Justice League of sorts, or Injustice. There you go. Batman then revived Grayson and sent him on a secret mission to protect superhero identities all over the world and for his super son to become a super spy. But the world, this was the catch, had to know that Nightwing was really dead, including the Bat family. This was a ruse that really hurt relationships with Bruce, Dick, and the rest of the Bat family. Anyway, after finishing a massive spiral mystery, Grayson returned to Gotham for good to finish a case from his past as Robin, and included his brothers this time around, Tim, Damian, and Red Hood. He also fought a brand new villain by the name of Mother, and also tangled with a new Jean-Paul Valley and a guy named Orphan, who's basically like David Kane, which is Cassandra Cain's dad of sorts. So yeah, he's just called Orphan in this. Anyway, it was a really cool storyline, and a graphic novel is currently available about Batman and Robin Eternal. So he dethroned Mother's organization and saved the world. Then he returned to being a spy for a little bit. Then he came back and he worked with the bunny robot Batman, aka Jim Gordon, and joined the Court of Owls to save his younger brother Damian, making the reader believe that Dick Grayson had actually become evil and turned to the dark side. Like Captain America, except he did it several months before Captain America did it. And then the readers were just left hanging like, what's going on? The Grayson books then continued with Grayson dismantling Spiral and reclaiming his secret identity, while fighting this crazy dude inside of his head. Don't really know what that was about. Didn't really read a lot of the James Bond Grayson books because it wasn't Nightwing. During this massive battle, it's also revealed that Helena is just kind of a side girl for Grayson, and his real true love is Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, which is probably going to cause some animosity between Huntress and Batgirl if they ever team up, because, you know, being told that you're not the love of your man's life is, well, it's gotta suck. Then, of course, after saving the world, he dons his superhero identity once again, and we're left with To Be Continued in July. And I'll tell you, I was not happy about that, but luckily we had Titans Hunt and other books to keep us occupied waiting for Nightwing's Rebirth. Caught up? Cool. So this book is basically a recap and mostly highlighting a brother's bond, so to speak. It also shows Agent 37 working one last time with Spiral and the Midnighter to acquire some type of gizmo that will be important for the end of this video, so don't go anywhere, you're gonna miss a very important plot point that I'll get to eventually. So the book begins with Dick beating up some bad guys and then playing video games with his younger bro Damian at the Gotham arcade, which is awesome. Damian is really happy about being able to play video games because Batman is apparently a very strict dad and won't allow his son to play video games anywhere in Wayne Manor. So Batman is anti-gamer. You've heard it here first. Now I know I've said some pretty mean things about Little Robin, and some of which were true, but stay with me, just hang on. The one thing that I've liked about DC's past couple years, including New 52, is Damian's character development is extraordinary, especially around Dick Grayson. He let down his guard and acts like a little kid, a normal little kid. Even though he's had sweet secret ninja training and is probably one of the most lethal little kids on the planet, he's starting to act like his age. And that really comes out around his older brother, whom he respects a lot. Also, I've noticed that their bond is the strongest of the Robins in the New 52 or DC Rebirth. Dick's time as Batman also probably helps cement that circle of trust, but Jason and Tim don't appear in this book, so we don't really know. All we know is that everybody's happy that Nightwing or Grayson is back in Gotham. But, of course, Jason and Tim are kind of drifters in their own right, even in Rebirth, but that's a discussion for another time. Nightwing Rebirth actually resets Nightwing's origin to that of Superman, the Superman story in the first panel of the book, and I'm really thrilled that happened because the Kryptonian legend of Flamebird and Nightwing was very important to the character progression of Dick Grayson and kind of like standing outside of Batman's shadow pre-52. So that story that Superman told Dick really inspired him to be his own man, to be his own hero after, he was fired as Robin. So this Superman element is very key to Nightwing, and I'm glad that it's back, because Clark basically refers to Nightwing of Krypton as the Great Rebuilder, or the Great Forger, the hero who helped others and brought a catalyst of change to the people of Krypton, the Nightwing. This also kind of mirrors what's happening with DC Rebirth and Dick's importance to the DC Universe, something that we've kind of heard a little bit about in Convergence, and of course, Earth 2 Society, I believe it is, with that imposter Dick Grayson who has no ties to the Bat family at all, when Helena Wayne should be the bad character or bad person, but whatever, that's a rant for another day. What we will see in these upcoming Nightwing books is a reforging of relationships and bringing true leadership and hope back to the DC Universe. So I'm pretty stoked about that. To be honest, though, I don't really remember Nightwing in the New 52 ever saying Superman gave him the idea to become Nightwing. In fact, he had real no ties to anybody outside of Gotham, and really, the circle in the Justice League was very, very small. Until recently, they did a New 52 book where Dick Grayson worked and was introduced to the Justice League, and met Cyborg, who was around his same age, and things like that. But it felt very, shoehorned in. It didn't feel natural. It was just take your son to work day type thing. It's still a cool issue, but I'm pretty sure everything has moved forward with DC Rebirth Justice League or whatever. So Justice League 51 or 52 was the last of the New 52 storylines. So, yeah. Anyway, what you need to know is that Nightwing had no real relationships in the New 52 other than his girlfriend Babs, off and on, his brothers, which, again, it was kind of meh, and whatever ladies he met on his journey. The Titans, for the most part, didn't exist because Dan Dido said they didn't. And the only Titans that existed was that of Red Robin's group with Connor and Beast Boy and stuff like that. So the original Titans were just gone with Wally West until Titans Hunt, which basically was a fantastic miniseries that reset everything. So the origins and the final mission of the original teenage superheroes was made re-canon just like that. Though different, but thanks to DC Rebirth, we got Wally West back, and now we have the Titans, and have also learned that 10 years has been stolen from the DC heroes, and Wally and the Titans are somehow going to fix that, which is going to be awesome, but it's going to take some time. The reason why I'm very excited about the 10-year gap is it means that there's no way Dick could only have been Robin for 6 months, and then became Nightwing, and Jason being Robin for over a year, then dying, coming back, and Tim Drake not wanting to be a Robin, but becoming Red Robin, and then not even really a year later, Damian rolled up, and he's Robin. It just makes my head hurt. It just does. It's like, this is why continuity is important, kids. But thankfully, that's all done now. And Rebirth is awesome, so read it. Okay, so I went off on a tangent a little bit and probably off topic, more or less. So basically what you need to know, the book's focus is Dick and Damian chilling, hanging out, being bros. It's nice to see my favorite dynamic duo interacting with one another again. Rumor has it that Robin and Batgirl are going to have a much larger role to play in Nightwing's adventures, and I'm pretty excited about that. Possibly a rumored romance between him and Babs again, much like their pre-52 Oracle and Nightwing counterparts. Still, that might be stretching it a bit since Red Robin and Spoiler are once again together. Tim and Steph for life! So, DC doing another fan favorite pairing. While awesome, probably don't count on it. Speaking of the women in Dick's life, by the way, Helena is back to being the Huntress, though the real Helena, with the crime family background, out for revenge 90s style. So she's not the leader of Spiral or even an agent anymore. She has some things to do, which will probably involve Nightwing and the Bat family, because they'll probably be illegal. So you can catch her new exploits with Batgirl in the Birds of Prey coming, is it later this month or in August? I don't remember, but there's gonna be some cat fights between the birds, especially between Babs and Helena, because, you know, Helena's not happy about stuff. As for the last Huntress, Helena Wayne, last we saw her, she's doing some stuff with Earth Society, working alongside fake Dick Grayson Batman and best friend Power Girl, allowing the Bertinelli to reclaim her own identity and her quest for vengeance once more. So as you can guess, the book can be a little jarring because it takes place in past and present narratives. The writer is doing his best to add closure in this tiny issue to Grayson's massive James Bond days, so the story just goes all over the place, yet still maintains a theme to it. Grayson has something very important that he has to do before he can roam the streets as Nightwing again, and we don't learn what that is until the very end of the issue. So it keeps you kind of entertained throughout. Reading this, I actually thought that Dick was scared of being Nightwing again, so it's kind of face-palming like, oh, what are they doing? And, you know, he just wanted to be a normal guy, and he's happy about being Dick Grayson again. He's shouting into the streets, I'm Dick Grayson, no one knows who I am, and people are just kind of like, you're crazy. So they do a great job of fooling the reader until the very end where he suits up, saying how he is the happiest when he's helping people as a vigilante and putting bad guys away, so others can live their lives knowing that someone is looking out for them. So basically, that's the Nightwing I grew up with. No emo red Nightwing from a few years back who was just kind of whiny, you know? This is a confident, capable superhero, not weak, and a confusing character that DC let him become after the relaunch. But if we're being 100% honest here, I really hate the black motorcycle gloves that Nightwing is wearing in this costume. It reminds me of that fingerless look that Dick had in Injustice, so not a fan. The rest of the costume looks pretty sweet though. It's blue and black. Though it may not look like it, the entire focus of the book is Damian, so if you don't like that, you might want to wait until other issues. If you haven't read Robin War, then this kind of ties things up with that as well, so this will be a spoiler. There you go. Damian came back to Gotham to deal with the Fakers, or the Robins, We Are Robin books, led by Duke, after his father's death against the Joker in that one issue. He planned on basically putting the Robins to nest. See what I did there? Reclaiming his title as the son of Batman and the one and only Robin that Gotham will ever need. Grayson then arrives because it's part of the story in Gotham, and he's like, I'm back! And he addresses the Robins like, you guys, it's cool that you're being me, or you're inspired by me, I'm the original. And they're just like, who's this guy that's not a superhero, you know? So they don't really listen to him. So that storyline, there was a lot of craziness that happened before then, like Gotham instituting this massive martial law that no kid could dress as Robin. If you did, you went to jail. It also turns out that this scheme was all created by the Court of Owls, so yeah, it's them again. Later during the story, Damian is tricked into helping the court and does some stuff against Grayson. And then they basically tell Grayson that if you don't become the Nightwing and agree to join the Parliament of Owls, then we will blow Damian up, who actually has a bomb placed inside his DNA because of reasons, which I needed to reread to catch that recently. I was like, oh really, they did that? Okay. Well, that sounds like something the Court of Owls would do. I mean, they hate Robin. They like Dick Grayson, they like Nightwing, they don't like Batman or Robin or any of the other names. So, back to Nightwing Rebirth. All that other stuff is done now. I told you it's jarring. So in the past, Grayson was traveling the world, working with his fellow agents, and kind of having a going-away party, and by going-away party, I mean they were beating up bad guys, and he was trying to find some type of clue to something that led him to Midnighter to acquire the means to save little Damian. Later in the Batcave, he uses a device to remove the bomb from his tiny bro's head, which Damian had no idea was inside and is kind of freaking out a little bit. He then demands to be treated to some ice cream, new action figures, and video games from Grayson's part and all of this. Then Batman shows up and he's like, hey, did you get the bomb out? And Damian's like, what? Even you knew? Unforgivable. So the dialogue between the eldest son and his Bat Dad was pretty nice, and it reminded me of the old pre-52 days. But anyway, Batman is having, a heartfelt discussion with the eldest, and he's like, are you sure you want to be a superhero again? I mean, you just got your Dick Grayson identity back. Don't you want to maybe go out, meet a nice girl, get married, give me grandkids, do all this other stuff that is not superhero related? And he's like, Dad, I'm gonna be on my own. I'm gonna be my own hero again. You won't see me. I might be jettisoning all over the world, but I need you to know this. And Dad's like, what? Can I have like $1 million? And he's like, I thought you were independent. I never said financially. Boom. That's kind of what happens with the other Robins. But I mean, it didn't happen in the book, but you could see maybe, no, it wasn't there. But I could have put it there. Okay, so yeah, they have a talk, and, he's talking about, hey, I'm gonna be this hero that takes down the Parliament Owls, and he's like, what's going on with those guys? And then we have a flash-forward scene to what the Owls are up to, and I'm not gonna spoil that, because that's actually worth reading, and the Owls are gonna be a very big figure in the Nightwing books, and a big mystery is gonna happen. It may tie into the Green Arrow books as well, because Green Arrow also has his own Court of Owls type characters, which I forgot the name of them. I mean, they're basically the court. They all have different masks and things like that. All you need to know is that the Court of Owls, or Parliament, basically wants Dick Grayson to lead them and make them cool again and evil, like Hydra, except worse. So, yeah. Dick then goes over to the old Robin costume, the new 52 one, which is so much better than, short pants. Puts his thumbprint on the wall disappears, and he goes back to get a prototype Nightwing costume, which is the blue and black. And then, boom. That's pretty much it. And I'll leave the rest up to you guys. I skipped out some parts. Mainly the interaction between Damian and Dick is amazing in this book. Seeing some of the future bad guys, that are going to be messing with Nightwing is pretty cool. So I would say the score of this book, I'd give it 3 wings out of 5. It's not that the book was bad, mind you. It's just stuff as a diehard Nightwing fan that I've already seen and come across in the previous Grayson appearances the past 6 to 8 months. So it mostly just tied up stuff that I already knew. I was expecting like a lot of action and, maybe an appearance of Batgirl or Tim, and it's just Damian, Dick, a little bit of Bruce, and the court. That's about it. And, Helena. So, I mean, if you like that closure of the Spy days and you enjoyed the Grayson James Bond books, then this book is going to be for you and kind of your jumping off point without a net for when Nightwing really starts to take flight. And compared to his new 52 run, so far this Grayson has heart, he has a witty personality, and he reminds me of the classic one that I grew up with. So I'm actually pretty hopeful. Now I want to hear from all of you though. What did you think of Nightwing Rebirth #1? Have you read it? Are you excited about the return of the great rebuilder? Let me know in the comments below, even if you don't care. So what started as a simple review turned into, I don't even know what this is. But anyway, Gothamites, I'm done. Have a great rest of your night. And until we meet again, God bless and happy reading. Peace, Gothamites.